Now, if I had a nickel every time I made a 4-block world record size circuit with a comparator output using a snapshot feature, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's really weird that it happened twice. So anyways, do you guys remember the iconic Crafty Crafter counter? Well, at the end of the video, I said this.
So yeah, these are the Crafty Crafter counters, and everyone has to call them that every time you use it. You know, I'll accept Crafty Counter, but you know, the full name, just like the Etho Hopper Clock, it's the Crafty Crafter counter.
And about a week later, Mumbo uploads his video on the new copper bulb.
It's literally a single block T flip-flop, and I hereby name it the Cop Flop. If any of these pop up in any redstone builds now, they have to be referred to as the Cop Flops. And if you want to be really fancy and use the full name, it's the Copper Flopper.
Bro, this guy stole my bit. I'm the one who names things stupid things. I think we've both single-handedly ruined every redstone comment section ever. But enough rambling about circuit vocabulary, because we have this thing, the copper bulb, and we need to know how the hell this thing works. Well, just like in Mumbo's clip we showed, it is a 1-block T flip-flop, which means we can toggle it on and off with a redstone pulse. So here I have a button, and when it's on, it can be read with a comparator, and it outputs a signal strength of 15. You can also see that whenever I power it, there is a little red pixel in the middle, and that can actually be detected with observers. So every time you power it, it actually gives 2 pulses because it will detect when it is powered and when it is unpowered, just like that. But also this thing is pushable, so you can just like kind of write something to this bulb, and then you can just kind of move it wherever you want, and then, I don't know, maybe power it over here, and then turn it off, and then retract it and power it here. I don't know, it's just a very interesting thing. So the first thing that a lot of people came up with were binary counters. So this is just a simple binary counter using copper bulbs and comparators. Off represents a 1, and then on represents a 0. It's a bit backwards compared to other binary counters, I know, but it works. I do find it funny though that the 2 redstone snapshot features we got, you can make counters out of both of them. Maybe we'll get another redstone component in a snapshot and we'll make like the perfect base 16 counter for hex. I don't know. So because these things are 1-block T flip-flops, they also make for great selector panels. So all I have are just buttons and these lamps, and then you just have kind of comparators behind them, and you basically have like a lever wall, except instead of levers you have buttons on these bulbs, and it lights up. It's just really cool. Or if you want to get really fancy, here's a different selector panel that only lets 1 bulb at a time. So as you can see, I push this, it goes here. I push this, it goes here, and it's the same with the output. Only 1 output at a time is on, so I can push this. Oh my god, it switches over. If you want to build this, it's also very easy. You have solid blocks here with your buttons, a row of these copper bulbs with comparators coming out of them, observers facing down, a line of redstone on some glass or any other transparent block. You have some droppers here, and some upwards observers pointing into these blocks. And you have a selector panel that works. It's so cool. Look at this. So since the copper bulb makes button selection panels so much easier, you can also make interesting combination locks. So this one was shown off in Mumbo's video, but basically, whenever you put in the right combination, it will actually reset itself with these pistons over here, and it just resets. So that means you can't just like leave it on. And as you can see, if we do like any other combination, even if we do the buttons that we did before, it won't work. It's only with the correct combination, and this whole thing resets. Redstone for this is also simple. We just have some comparators coming out, and then we have like a standard kind of lever lock circuit on the back. And then the reset is just these observers coming from these comparators. They go down into here, if I can show, into these note blocks, into these observers, into these pistons, so that whenever you push a button, it will activate that corresponding piston. But then I wanted to know if you could change this back circuit, as in, can you make a custom combination lock using the copper bulbs? Well, guess what, you can. So right now I have the correct combination. As all the bulbs being off, this redstone lamp turns on, and as soon as you just push any of the buttons, the redstone lamp turns off. So sad. You can actually change that though. So if I just make this the combination, and I push this button over here, as you can see, the lamp will now turn on. So if we try the old combination lock of all the blank bulbs, the lamp doesn't turn on anymore. We've just made a custom combination lock. But if we do the new combination lock, like this, lamp turns on. It's so awesome. So the way this works is, instead of this torch and redstone dust and gate kind of thing on the back, we're actually just using another layer of copper bulbs. So then we just take the output out of these copper bulbs and we put it into a bunch of comparators, and we just make an AND gate over here that controls this torch. So let me show you what happens if you try to customize it. So if we make it all of these turn on, as you can see, we have the whole system again, where each corresponding button activates its own piston. So right now we've just activated this, and this. So now these pistons have extended, extending some target blocks into the bulbs. So now if we push this button, it's going to go across this whole redstone line, and it's going to update whichever bulb has a target block on top. So if we just do this, as you can see, it's updated that. So now the correct combination is all of these are on, lamp turns on. And of course, I've made a simplified version in case you just don't want a customizable version. So this is the same combination of every other button. So if we just do that, we do this and this and this, as you can see, the lamp turns on, and it's very simple. You could literally copy it from this one slice. Basically, all you want to do to make it like the correct combination is you put in your panel, you put in the correct combination, and then just right after, you just place your copper bulbs, and it's done. That's it. So then as soon as you have all of them blank, it has that combination just saved in its memory, I guess. I don't know. It's just one bit of memory. But I wasn't done with memory systems, because let me show you the final boss of copper bulb memory circuitry. This thing is pretty cool. So right now we have a blank panel and all of these lamps are on. But we can change that. Let's say I want one of the valid combinations, again, to be every other button like this. Well, we have 4 modules down here where we can write that combination to one of these lamps. So let's say I want that to be the right combination for this module. So now as you can see, when we have every other button, that single lamp turns on. And then when we have it all blank again, all the other lamps turn on, but now this one turns off because it has a different combination stored in it. So maybe we want to do a combination with the 2 middle buttons, every other button again, and then we'll do this one. As you can see, turns that lamp on, and maybe we want another combination where all the buttons are on, and we'll make it this one. So now we have 4 different combinations set in this memory. We have all of them on. We'll activate this first lamp. We have every other lamp with 3 of them, activating that. We have these middle 2 activating this lamp. Or we have all of the blank ones activating the back lamp. Okay, so what about things other than memory? Well, here I have a sorting system. Now, I don't know why you'd want a sorting system like this. In fact, if you just do like the default sorting system that everyone's been doing for years, it will work like the exact same, but you can make a sorting system using the copper bulbs. So if I just take like a few repeaters and I just put a few over here, and they'll eventually sort themselves into the repeater box. Or if I take some pistons, put some pistons in here, and then maybe some more repeaters in here if I want to, and maybe some, I don't know, some redstone dust over here. Ooh, look at it, it's gonna sort. We have redstone dust going in here, we have more repeaters in here, and we have sticky pistons in here. Now the way it works is really simple. Instead of just having a constant power from this redstone going to this hopper and locking it, we just have this final bit of redstone being detected by an observer and updating this copper bulb, which can be read by this comparator, and that just locks this hopper. So yeah, there's not much else I can do to explain it. You can literally just copy it just by looking at it. So in front of me, we have 2 rows of copper bulbs. This one over here is an observer chain. In fact, if I just take a few out, as you can see, it's just a line of observers with observers coming out of it over here. And then on this one, we have an alternating bulb and repeater chain. So if we activate both of them, look at that. The top one goes so much faster because every single bulb is being powered 1 game tick after the other, whereas this bottom one is being activated 1 redstone tick after the other, which is the equivalent to 2 game ticks. So just having a 1 game tick delay will make timings in redstone contraptions a lot more tighter and just a lot easier to make. Like, look at this. Before, if you wanted to make a chain of 1 game tick after the other, you'd have to do some funky stuff with scaffolding or leaves, but now it's literally as simple as alternating between dust, bulb, repeater, bulb, repeater, bulb, repeater, bulb, and just having some comparators, and just having some observers coming out of them detecting the updates. So remember when I said that we'd move on from combination locks in memory? Well, I may have lied because I wanted to try and make a 2-dimensional combination lock. It's basically you put in the right drawing on this little board of bulbs and buttons here, and then this lamp activates. So maybe you can recognize it as I slowly get it put together. Maybe the mouth, maybe this little eyeball over here. We can just clean up this side a little bit. And then finally, the last creeper eyeball. And then after that, the lamp turns on. So yeah, we have a 2-dimensional combination lock, and I just don't think a system like this before the copper bulb would even be possible. And the redstone, dude, Look how tiny the redstone is. Again, we're using that technique that we used in the one-dimensional combination lock with the second layer of copper bulbs over here. And then to connect all of the layers, we are using this big old wall. And basically what that wall does is whenever a trapdoor closes on it, it'll actually send an update all the way down to these observers. And then we just have another copper bulb and gate over here with these comparators that are now all turned off, making this whole line turned off, making this torch turn on, and then we get an output. This thing is tiny. Look how small it is. And it is expandable. There's like no redstone dust stuff over here. The only thing you'd have to change if you make it bigger is like maybe this AND gate at the very bottom. But dude, this whole thing can just be expanded to whatever size you want. And speaking of things that can be expanded to whatever size you want, a Turing machine. Now, if you don't know what a Turing machine is, it's basically a concept for a computer that uses a giant, quote unquote, like infinitely long memory tape where you can write bits of ones and zeros and it can just move back and forth. So here I just have a prototype, only moves in one direction, but the concept is there. So let's say we just want to move the tape one. We just push the red button like this. Look at that. It looks so cool. And let's say you want to write to one of them. You just push this. It's going to toggle it and then move over to the next bit. And maybe we want to toggle this one as well. And maybe this time we just want to move over to the right. But yeah, literally all it is a piston feed tape with a bunch of copper bulbs. This green button, all it does is it just powers this bulb from under over here, and that bulb gets read through this block by this comparator. And a few ticks later, it just goes through here and activates this piston, which will fire the entire piston feed tape. So I'm excited to see if someone actually does make a fully functional Turing machine, because look, the concept is there. You can move bits back and forth. It's a lot easier than it's ever been before. You had to do some like block swapping or whatever to like represent a 1 or a 0, but now it's as easy as you power the thing and then you move it. Like it's everything is so much easier with the copper bulb. And hey, if you're enjoying the stuff that I've made with the copper bulb, I think you should subscribe. This one is just purely stolen by Mumbo, but like guys, isn't this sign enticing? I don't think the actual subscribe button does this, but I'm sure it's something that you want to do. And lastly, the 4-block world record with a snapshot feature with a comparator output that I clickbaited in the thumbnail. The world's smallest XOR gate. Yeah, and just to spite Mumbo because he thinks he can name things stupid things, I'm gonna name this XOR gate. I'm gonna name this XOR gate. What do I name it actually? I don't know. I'm gonna name this XOR gate the X-Cop. The X-Cop, that's so dumb. It's called the X-Cop now.